The Space Jockey, as seen in Ridley Scott's 1979 masterpiece Alien, has finally returned. This massive skeleton, and others like it, are found in an underground biomechanical city in the video game Alien's Dark Descent. And if they look familiar to you, then you only need to look to interviews and concept art to find out that they are an interpretation of the remains of the Space Jockey that was discovered on LV426. So let's examine the details of this new iteration, specifically how they compare to the original showpiece created by H.R. Giger, how they fit into the larger Aliens expanded universe, one that includes the engineers, and why I hope that their appearance, even though it's in a video game, might just be a sign that the films of the franchise are now heading in a better direction. The mysterious Space Jockey of Acheron is also known as the pilot of the Derelict, and in the expanded universe, its race are called the Malakak. According to H.R. Giger, the creature we finally ended up building is biomechanical to the extent that he is physically grown into, or maybe even out of, his seat. He's integrated totally into the function he performs. For Alien's Dark Descent, no name is given, but in concept art they are called Citizens, Ancient Citizens, and Space Jockeys, while the game's AD would note that in line with Giger, they are in fact grown from the biomechanical city. In comparing the two, it should be noted that the specimens are used in different applications. The example on LV426 was thought to be in control of the derelict craft, whereas the implementation of the Citizens is unknown, with examples seen both attached to pillars or walls. With Giger's pilot, the remains look to be more substantial. On the Citizens, we have this bleach-white skeleton, free of any leftover flesh or skin. On the Acheron specimen, there may be either residual tissues or some other unknown process, a hardening or perhaps a calcification, that has created an ivory tone buildup on the bones. If these ancients are indeed older than the Acheron jockey, it's possible that they've had longer to decompose, but this could also be due to environmental differences or simply artist interpretation. The pilot would also be further integrated into its chair when compared to the Citizens. The ivory coloration is bleeding off onto the seat, its shoulder area is joined to and part of the headrest, and its legs have grown into or its torso has grown out of the chair. In contrast, the ancients are simply held to the wall by biomechanical tubing, where their trunks and shoulder spines appear to also be part of the wall. Another key difference is their size, where the ancients are a bit larger. Their estimated height is slightly under their created Xeno-Titans, who are bigger than a queen at around 22 feet tall. Whereas the pilot, if it could stand up from its seated position on legs if it had them, was thought to be around 16 to 17 feet tall, only a foot or two taller than a standard queen. Which is all a bit ironic because when Ridley Scott returned to the director's chair for Prometheus, his intention was to make the Space Jockey and its supposed race nothing more than a suit that is worn by an engineer. But his decision to use shorter engineers for Prometheus, ones that stood around 10 feet tall, left a door open for the jockeys to be their own thing. Now if he was able to make that third prequel, we probably would have seen his true intentions come to fruition on the screen, with an engineer sitting inside a suit on the LV426 Derelict. But I think Disney saw this as the wrong choice and cancelled the sequel to Alien Covenant. Even so, after Prometheus, the Malakak had been absent from all Alien stories, replaced by the world of the Engineer. That is, until Dark Descent. And even though there's nothing Engineer, Accelerant, or otherwise in this game, we only have to look to another recent game, Aliens Fireteam Elite, where their lore is featured prominently. Thibaut Claudel, a writer and narrative designer for the game, told AVPGalaxy that what we see in the Xeno City in Dark Descent is an alternative story of the Space Jockey. It doesn't have to contradict the prequels, it could coexist. A theory that has been echoed in the Alien role-playing game written by Andrew E.C. Gaska, which it should be noted was given to Thibaut by Disney as a sort of Bible to use when writing the game. By placing the Malakak and the Engineers into the same world, mystery returns to the franchise. If these newly discovered Space Jockey citizens are indeed ancient, then it's possible that they would predate the Engineers and maybe even the Xenomorph. If so, this is not an engineer, and their pathogen and or accelerant could be derived from a xenotype alien, letting us know that the engineers didn't create the aliens. They only made deacons and other possible creations through hybridization and experimentation. This also would mean that David was merely able to recreate what he learned from the engineers, adding in humans to the mix to make his own variants, the Predomorph, and with the bombing of Planet 4, the Neomorph. And what is the connection between the engineers and the Malakak? They share a similar technology. Did the pilots' race create the engineers, or are they simply the surviving, evolved, or otherwise changed descendants of the jockeys? Maybe they simply found the tech of the pilots, and now they use it for their own, perhaps even looking to them as gods. There are more players than ever before, and their relation to one another is unknown, leaving much to be explored, with the only constant being that anyone approaches the alien, or that of the aliens, is doomed to be destroyed by them, which creates more of an open slate for future filmmakers and series creators. Now, I don't expect to see Dark Descendants Ancient Citizens in any movie or series anytime soon, but I do think that this move shows that the engineers may no longer be replacing the Malakak, which could eventually make its way into the top tier film and streaming canon of the franchise. One of my earliest and most watched videos on the channel is an original backstory that I created that uses this very setup, where the engineers coexist with the Malakak, who I called the Alphas. So check it out if you want to know more. And in the next Alien series videos, I'll examine the Xeno City and the Xeno Titan, a new take on the Ultramorph concepts, the alien birth from the pilot of Acheron. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.